Hi, Cheryl here. I'm here to talk about yet another interesting part of the autism experience for our family, anyway. My son, Jason, he's my youngest, my fourth child, and he is now 26 years old. He'll be 26 next month, and he's like 6'2" and just doesn't really like to do much. We have to encourage him to do anything, and he likes to stick by us for the most part. But when he was younger, at about, well, he was about two, between 2 and 3, uh, probably would have been about 1996, I'm thinking, 97. Anyway, we started experiencing his escaping. They call it eloping, or I don't know what else they call it. I think eloping is the weirdest word I've heard, but basically he became an escape artist. We lived at the time in a two-story house at the end of a cul-de-sac, typical track house, and we had him in his own room. And there were times when he would have his time to nap or play or whatever, and I put up a baby gate because that would leave me time to clean upstairs while he was napping. And so he figured out that he could move it back and forth and pull it off the door. Or if he would even try to climb over it. He'd just stick his little toes. He had such a high pain tolerance. He'd try to stick his little toes in the webbing and just climb right over. So it was a challenge, to keep him entertained in any way while I tried to maintain the house and those types of things. He had this electronic piano for a while, this keyboard, and he loved to play it, and he actually can, even at that age, could pick out a tune if you hummed a tune. So he loves music, but it had pre-programmed music in it, and he would play certain ones that he liked. So here he is, 3-4 years old, and he's able to push the numbers on it to figure out which one he liked. So he was recognizing the numbers as kind of, I think, symbols, and those symbols equaled that sound he wanted. But he would find the sound he wanted, and we'd hear it all day, all night. It would just echo throughout the house. And we always knew, okay, well, he's busy doing that. And usually he would be in his room running around, just lining up toys, stacking things, which is what, most kids with autism do before they actually start playing appropriately with toys. He, at one point though, once he figured out how to open his gate, I had to put another gate on the other side of the door jamb. And I took a belt and I wrapped it around to hold them together so they were sandwiching the door jamb, thinking, okay, well, he can't push one, he can't put it. I thought I had it figured out, but no, he was able to get out of that too. We found that out the hard way because my sister was babysitting him one day when I was working, and she had a frantic experience. He escaped, and he knew how to unlock the front door. He couldn't open the slider because it was too heavy, but he could unlock the front door. But before we knew he could unlock the front door, because we kept it locked, he escaped. And so it happened to my sister. It happened to his babysitter down the street one day. But I think, well, actually the first night that it happened, I came home at about 10 o'clock at night, and I'm driving straight down the cul-de-sac, and I see our house at the end of the cul-de-sac, and I see the door is wide open. So I'm thinking, okay, it's 10 o'clock. I didn't know if maybe my husband at the time was doing something outside. I couldn't really tell. I get down there, and sure enough, the door's wide open. I go in the house, and I look, and everybody's asleep. I look in Jason's room, and he's gone. So I'm screaming out, Jason's missing, he's gone, and the door is open, and I waking up the whole house. And so I was dressed in heels, and I was, in work clothes, but I went running down in the night, down the cul-de-sac. Now, when I pulled up, mind you, I'm driving up the street, and I never saw anything. Thank goodness. that I didn't, that he wasn't in the street or anything, but I went running up trying to listen for him because I thought, well, if I call his name, I might at least hear him make noises. So I'm listening, and I hear these little feet pattering, and I knew, okay, that's him, but I couldn't see anything. It was a really dark night. So I'm running down to the end of the street thinking, at least if I stand at the end of the street, I can look up to the cul-de-sac. Because if he gets past the end of the cul-de-sac, then he could go anywhere. So I did that, and all of a sudden I saw this little flash of white, because this was in the middle of the summer. There's a little flash of white in a driveway, and that was his little diaper. So I'm like, Jason, come here. And I finally found him and grabbed him. By this time, my family's finally coming out of the house in a panic. So I carry him home, and that was our first realization that he can get out of anywhere. So we ended up having to put, all these fancy door latches, and we did all kinds of things to try to keep him in. But yeah, he was an escape artist. And of course, he would pull away from me and run in the stores. I had to put him in a basket everywhere we went. And he was way too big at one point for the basket. And we'd get looks and we'd get comments and so on, but whatever. So just to warn you, parents of toddlers who maybe receive their diagnosis, it's pretty common for them to, because they really don't have any fear, especially at the younger ages. They haven't really developed a lot of, they don't think of things that could happen, or I don't know how to explain it, but he definitely fits in with the normal category of those that have problems with elopement. So just beware and prepare for that. So that's all about the escaping. I don't know if I want to bore you with all the other stories, but he did it to us so many times, and every time we thought we had him figured out, he outsmarted us. Fortunately, he grew out of it. That's the one thing I want to say for sure to you all, is just know all of the little stages you go through, they're at one point or another, they grow out of it. Sometimes they grow into new stages. There's new things you have to deal with, but for the most part, just know all these things are fairly temporary, and they do hit milestones at different times than other kids, but eventually they do hit them. So be reassured of that. All right. So that's about escaping, and thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.